What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You want to work on the 71 GTO Pro Touring project with me? More specifically, set up this low car shifter so you get tap shift and sport mode on your 6L80 transmission. Alright, I'm going to start this off by letting you know that this is very combination and operating system specific for settings. This transmission originally came with, I don't remember what the number is, but you can Google your operating system number. Just punch it into Google, ask what vehicles use this transmission operating system. You don't even have to put GM, it'll automatically pull up what it is. This one was one that was for the 10 and up trucks like Escalade, stuff like that. Here's the thing. Truck operating systems. You have the little tap shift that's on your shifter, but it's not a true tap shift. What that is an electronic range limiter. So if you put that to the number 3 on your dash, so third gear, it will not shift above third gear. But if you floor it, it will downshift. So that's not a true tap shift, because on a true tap shift, it's like a standard transmission. If you're in third gear and you floor it, you're staying in third gear and it's just winding up slowly, unless that's your, your RPM gear that you needed and you're on the highway or something like that. So I tried, sometimes you can reconfigure them to work with tap shift. It's usually not successful, as it was for me. So what I did was find a compatible operating system that I can reflash into this TCM, which turned out to be our 1970 project, or 1970 C10 project Madrimi that we built. That was a LSA 6L90 from a ZL1 Camaro, and a quick Google search told me the operating system on that TCM and the one on this TCM were compatible. So I was able to load that up on HP tuners and write complete. You don't want to write calibration, you want to write complete, and it changed the entire thing over to the operating system for that, which has tap shift. So let's get into this awesome low car shifter. I love this thing. We got it with chrome shaft, Cerakoted. I believe this is the mushroom handle or knob they call it. Mushroom knob. I'm 12. But as you can see, we have park, reverse, neutral, drive, sport mode, and then plus and minus for your tap shift. So what we have is we have park, obviously, reverse, also obviously, neutral. So neutral does lock. So you have to push it down again if you're not already holding it down. And then we have D range, and as far as the Prindle clicks are concerned, you have D5, and D5 allows you to side shift it, and then you can up and down this thing to your heart's desire. This is the other thing you'll have to figure out for your combination, because most of these, like the CTSV does not. You literally put it down into drive range, which is 6 technically, slide it to the side, you're in sport mode. The Camaros do not. You slide it back one more further, and that puts you in manual / sport mode. But that doesn't register as D5 on your HB tuners. That registers as D4. So these are things you need to know. You need to look them up. Like I said, I wish I could tell you them all, but it's different for almost every application. You just have to Google it. Google AI has like all the answers. So I will show you my range positions and stuff now on HB tuners. So we're gonna turn the key on. We're gonna log up my VCM scanner, and we are in. And so this is literally the only thing that reads through that OBD2 is the transmission computer, because the rest of everything else is controlled by Holley Terminator X. And We will get into the wiring on this, but there's no direct connection for the shifter to the transmission. It actually gives a hardwired signal into the Holley, and the Holley converts that into a CAN signal and sends it to the TCM. It's totally different when you're doing it if you're using a factory, GM ECM as well on the engine, but we're not in this case, so I'm just going to do it how we're doing it. If you look here, you can see we are currently in park, so I'm going to shift it into reverse. There we go, into neutral, into D6, which is your drive, and then this is where I'm talking about. I'm only clicking it back one space, but that space registers as D4. Now, the other thing you have to notice is my shift modes up here. And this will be when you start programming your shift scheduling, which is basically your shift points. So all the way back until we get to D6, D6 is pattern B in my TCM. And then the one back into D4 is back into normal. Now, like factory, I'm going to hit this to the side. Nothing happens. It stays in D4 until you shift up or down. And then you see we're in tap up, tap down mode. And you can see my gear selection there. The highest they allow you on the factory TCM is 3 when you're not moving. And if you wanted to get out of tap up, tap down mode, you can either, 1, shift it back into drive, which would put you in pattern B, or I'm going to put it back in here again. You simply, just like on factory, if you hold this forward for a couple of seconds, it puts you back into normal mode, which I'll show you right now, which is, for me, is sport mode. So it's in there. I'm going to hold this up, and we go into normal mode. So with that in there, I'm going to do wiring stuff on this first. Now, if you were using the neutral safety switch on this, that would be these wires right here that come out the back. I am not. I'm using the neutral safety switches provided by the Terminator through this relay for my neutral safety switch. Park in neutral, she'll start. Any other gear? No. Unfortunately, Locar does not include a reverse light switch in their shifter, so you have to get a separate switch assembly which mounts down on the transmission and triggers, and that's a whole nother thing. They sell it on their site. I'll show you a quick picture of it somewhere up here, but that is wired down on my transmission on the side. So now in this, which is what moves when you shift, I'm going to turn the key off so I don't kill my battery. You have these wires down here that come out. Those are for your upshift, because that gets triggered when you hit that. There's a bunch of pin switches in here, and obviously the ones on the front are your downshift. You also have these ones in here. There is another switch in here with another momentary or another latched switch that it's on when you have it over, it's off when you have it over. I am not using that. You can use that if you had like a tow haul mode or something, but for this application with this OS, I don't need that to enable sport mode. Sport mode automatically enables when I put it down into D4 mode, which simplifies a lot of stuff. That on your Holley software is secondary shift mode. So say tow haul mode, but your stock on your trucks, that would be secondary shift mode. Sport mode, if I didn't have a slap shifter in here and I just wanted to have, and I didn't have a ability to get down into D4, I could wire up that secondary shift mode to just a push button momentary switch, and that would be good. The problem with using secondary shift mode with this switch is it wants a push button momentary switch. This is what you call a latching switch. It's a full-time ground. You have to, if I was using this, you would have to go over, okay, now it's enabled, but when you push it back, it wouldn't unenable, so you would have to hit it again, which, I don't know, it's how they say to wire most of them, but it's just not correct. But, so now we will go into tunes. If I can find out, here we are. And I will show you the different tables we have for our shifting. So transmission. So these, we're in shift scheduling. So part throttle shift. These are exactly as they say. This is when you're just cruising and when you want it to shift. Full throttle shift speed. This is the speed it's going to shift when you mash it to the floor. Full throttle shift RPM. This is the maximum RPM before a shift. These two right here, whichever one of these two meets the criteria first, that's what they go off of. This one is, you're not full throttle, so it's just whatever it is. So you have normal, which is our sport mode. So you have gears 1 through 4 upshift and gears 1 through 4 downshift. And then, if I can click that off, number 5 and gear 5 and gear 6 have their own tables. Now you have normal, pattern A, pattern B, hot trans. You have your, down here, tap up, tap down settings. Now all of this is dependent on your combination. So for us, pattern B is when I'm in drive. Normal is when I'm in sport mode. And both of those are ignored when I'm in tap up, tap down. And that is different for every other car. Like my CTSV, let me look on here actually. I have this written down so I could compare it. So on my CTSV, so I said what? This is pattern B for drive, sport mode for normal. My CTSV is pattern B for drive, pattern A for sport mode. So you just need to get into your specific tune and set it up the way you want to set it up. So what I have it set up for here is a little bit more aggressive than stock when I am in D mode, because I want that to be like my economy, smooth ride, not performance mode, basically, we'll say. When I pull it one back into sport mode, we're in sport mode. Converter does not lock up until 5th gear on that mode. The shift points are all higher. The downshifts are a little bit higher too, to match those. And what was the other thing? I'm trying to remember here. Oh, if this was on a factory computer, we could do rev matching downshifts too. But as far as I know right now, Holley still does not have the capability for the factory style rev matching downshifts, which are awesome, and I wish it did. But yeah, that's the difference between those two. So, I mean, wiring wise, this is pretty simple. The instructions that come with this, I'm not going to go through it because it's just going to be repetitive, but it's extremely simple. There's 3 wires off of each one of these pin switches. One of them is normally closed, one of them is normally open, one of them is your common. So on this, because we're looking for switched grounds on the Terminator, all the blacks, or all the grounds, because they're different colors for different ones here, so make sure you read your instructions. See, as this one, the ground is a brown instead of a black, even though there is another black wire on that harness too. There's going to be a lot of talking in this one, ladies and gents. Your commons go to the ground, and then when that switch, when I hit this and that switch closes, it sends a momentary ground signal up there. And I just realized how I can perfectly show you that. So I am going to power up my Terminator tuning software and show you. So, key on, put her in park. I was messing with my fan settings a little bit here, but we will go to, oh, we got a link first. Get from ECU. All right, so I have my own little pit up here to look at these things. So as you can see, the very top one says secondary shift mode disabled because I have it turned off. So we're going to go into tap shift mode. Now if I hit it down, the down one lights up. Now if I tap it, it goes. If I hold it, it stays. It's just literally a momentary, hold switch. And same thing on the upside. What else I have on here, if I can find my transmission settings, the Holley settings read a little different than the factory stuff. So your trans range position. So this would be considered position 1, and it just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way back. So that's another thing you'll have to do or make note of if you're doing transmission tuning through the Holley for this. But this would be reverse, then neutral. Oh, I went one too many. Drive, and D5. Tuning. Now, as you can see, I'm not tuning the transmission through the Holley. Like 4L80s, 4L60s, all that stuff, they don't have an internal TCM. You tune them through the Holley. 6L80s, 6L90s, I haven't touched the 10 speeds, but they're the same way. They have an internal ECM in the transmission, and that is what controls the transmission. The Holley is not controlling the transmission. The Holley is just communicating back and forth and telling the transmission what it wants it to do, and then the transmission's computer controls the transmission. Which that worked out perfect for me because 6L80s, 6L90s, I'm awesome with those on HP tuners. But I'm not proficient with trans tuning on Terminator yet. I'm getting there because I have limited time, so I just kind of screw around and teach myself as I'm going. But that is what I'm up to today, and I've taken this thing for multiple rides, and it performs flawlessly. I will put it up in the air now, and I will show you the reverse switch. Let me just disconnect this so it doesn't go haywire on me. So my drive mode, like I said, is nice and smooth. Just goes up through the gears smoothly. Probably I'd say about 50 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour, you're in 6th gear already. Not a big deal. My sport mode, also the same thing. It's not chirping the tires because I didn't screw with any of the line pressures. I left those pretty much stock. But all of my shift scheduling is up, so I am in 5th gear still if I just let it automatically shift itself at about 50, and it's not till about 55 or so where it says, okay, it's time to go into 6th gear. And then obviously tap shift, it does whatever the hell I tell it to do. Except, as I said, it has the factory architecture in the transmission ECU, so you can't, slap it down into 1st gear at 75 miles an hour. That is just not allowed, and it won't let you do it. But let me put it up in the air. I'll give you a quick look at that reverse switch that they have, and then I think that's it. This was just going to be a quick video covering the very basic of basics on this install and the controlling of all this stuff. Okay, so this reverse switch, they give you a bracket. Their bracket wouldn't work with me. They want you to mount it down here, and that's going to get in the way of my shift cable. So I just made a quick down and dirty bracket up here to mount this switch. I am going to shave down like all this excess that I don't need there and then paint that thing. It's just aluminum 2-inch bar stock. I think it's 1/8 inch thick. But if you guys remember back in the day, your vacuum switches for the S10 Blazer transfer cases is basically the same thing, just an electrical version. Actually, this is the exact switch I have for a neutral switch in my 2004 Buell Firebolt over there. But they give you this little bracket right here. Let me see if I can get you up there better. There we are. They give you this little bracket right here. So what happens is when you shift in reverse, obviously this hits that and triggers your reverse lights. And that is that. Not really anything to it. Your biggest problem with that is just finding out where you're going to mount it. I find it really weird that they integrate a neutral safety switch onto it but not a reverse switch, and I can see why by the construction of it, but there's still could be a way you could do it up on the shifter itself. All right, I'm going to show you one more thing and ramble on just a little bit more. So we've done plenty of 6L80 and 90s in our C10 trucks as well. That one doesn't, though. That one's a 4L65. But same principle applies with drive range and moving it one more back into D5. The difference is, unless you're using a floor shifter, because they do make a longer handle floor shifter for you for those, you would have to get one of the paddle shift kits for your steering wheel. But it's the same exact thing. Those paddle shifts would just be a momentary ground switch, and they would be wired in the exact same way. Or if you wanted to, and you didn't have the ability to go down to D5, you could have it just in regular drive and then put a push button somewhere to enable that secondary shift mode to be your sport mode. One thing I wanted to cover with shift tuning, and something that is invaluable, you guys should download and have, you can still find it, you just have to search some forums to find it or maybe Google it, is the Blue Cat trans tuning tool. Now this is awesome. I'm not going to do a tutorial on it because it would take too long, but I will tell you this, there is plenty of them out there on online, and it sets you up to almost 9 out of 10 times a really good base shift profile and torque converter profile that you can just use and not have an issue with. And then if you want to fine tune it after that, you can fine tune it. But what I did on this was I set one up conservatively for my pattern B, which is my economy shifting, and then I did a whole nother one for my normal, which is my sport mode. And what you do is once you get done, you come up here to this export button and you hit that and you hit export window and you open your HP tuners, and they give you all of these that you just enter into whatever shift table you are working on. So this main shift table, you would just come over here, click copy, go up here, say we're adjusting my normal, hit normal, and this actually stays on top too, so it doesn't get buried behind stuff. You hit normal, you would hit that, then Control V to paste it. I'm not pasting it because these are my settings I want. But it's awesome, and you have a lot of adjustability. You can adjust up and down your pedal input to downshift, your pedal input to upshift, your entire curve of your shift curve. So if you want it to hold a gear longer before it shifts automatically, you can do that. You can set it to lock up the converter in any gear you want or no gears at all. And there is a ton, it's all GM stuff, unfortunately. I don't think they have anything in here for anything other than GM, but it's awesome for setting up base shifting files. Like these that I put into here, I had to do just maybe 1 or 2 little tweaks, and it's on the money. It's gold. So that's it. So we are getting closer and closer to getting this car finished. It's been running and driving, as you've seen. You can see I've got the rear section of the rug in. We had to get this shifter taken care of before we could get the front section of the rug in, because over here we have a TMI center console. And I will tell you, I like the console. As you can see, there's no shifter hole. You have to cut your own hole. And to do that, we were not going to be using the factory shifter and the ugly factory bezel. So between that and the fact that I wanted tap shift, that's why we went with this low car. So we're going to cut the hole for that, and you put a normal manual shift boot on there because your little Prindle markings are on top of your shifter knob, and call it a day. So we're in the home stretch for this car. It's been a little bit over a year build, and honestly, if I didn't have everything else here to also work on, beginning to end, taking my time, I could have had this entire build done in 6 months, but we have other stuff to do. Like right now I'm pulling this out because I have to get another truck finished before I can get started on putting this front rug in. Such is life. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. I hope this doesn't really teach you much, but it shows you some good resources and shows you what it's capable of, both for tuning stuff and the shifter. I will talk to you guys later.